Daniel never liked his basement. It always felt cold, even during summer. There was a strange smell, like old wires and wet cement. But after buying the old house from his uncle, he had no choice but to fix it. The wooden stairs creaked under his feet as he walked down, flashlight in hand. Dust filled the air, and spider webs covered the corners like tiny ghost traps. He planned to turn the basement into a workshop. As a mechanic, he needed space for his tools and machines, so he picked up a hammer and started breaking the old shelves. One by one, the wood came off easily, but when he hit the back wall, the sound changed. Instead of a solid thud, it echoed. Hollow and metallic. Daniel paused. He knocked again, this time with his knuckles. Definitely metal behind the wall. Curious and a little nervous, he picked up his hammer and hit the wall harder. The concrete cracked, revealing a smooth, dark surface behind it. It wasn't stone or brick. It looked like metal. His heart started beating faster. He cleared more of the wall, piece by piece. Finally, a small round door appeared, sealed. Tight but clearly made by someone or something. There were strange symbols on it, glowing faintly, even in the darkness. He touched one of the symbols, and it lit up under his fingers. Suddenly, the door hissed and opened slowly, revealing a hidden room. The room was small, maybe the size of a storage closet. Inside, a large metallic object stood in the middle. Covered in dust and wires, it looked like a capsule, or maybe a coffin. Daniel stepped inside, his flashlight shaking in his hand. He wiped the dust off the glass window on the pod, and what he saw made his blood run cold. Inside the pod was a creature, humanoid but not human. Its skin was pale blue and glowing softly. It had long fingers, closed eyes, and wore a suit made of something that looked like metal and cloth. It wasn't dead. He could see the chest rising and falling slowly, like it was breathing in deep sleep. Daniel stepped back, shocked and unsure what to do. Was it an alien? A secret experiment? He grabbed his phone and tried to call someone, but there was no signal. He looked at the pod again, and that's when it happened. The pod began to hum, lights turned on one by one, and the symbols started blinking faster. Then, a soft female voice echoed from the pod. Not human but clear. Stasis interrupted, it said. Preparing for contact. Daniel froze. He didn't know whether to run or stay. The pod hissed again as steam came out from the sides. A panel on the side opened, showing more symbols. And something like a hand scanner. He reached toward it without thinking. The scanner lit up green and made a beeping sound. Inside the pod, the alien's fingers twitched. Its head moved slightly, and its eyes, large, silver, and glowing, suddenly opened. Daniel gasped and took a step back. The alien looked at him directly, not with fear, but with calm focus. It raised one hand slowly and pointed at him. Then it spoke, its voice weak but clear. Protector, it whispered. Its hand dropped, and it went still again. The pod's lights dimmed, and the room went silent. Daniel stood there trying to make sense of what just happened. What did Protector mean? Why was it hidden in his basement? And who or what built this pod? Suddenly, the walls of the room shook slightly. From outside, the basement bulb flickered, and Daniel heard a distant, strange buzzing sound, like something mechanical flying nearby. He rushed back up the stairs, locked the basement door, and stared at it like it might explode. His mind was racing. Should he call the police? The government? Or should he keep this a secret? His heart said yes, but his mind wasn't sure. He took a deep breath and looked down at his dusty hands. The pod had opened because of him. The alien had pointed at him, and now something strange was happening. In the silence of his home, the voice echoed again, this time from the basement floor below. Protector activated. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat on the couch, staring at the locked basement door. The word Protector echoed in his head like a bell. Every time he blinked, he saw those glowing silver eyes staring back at him. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, but he wasn't listening to the wind. He was listening for the buzzing, the humming, The thing that followed the pod's awakening. At exactly 3:13 a.m., the lights in the house flickered. Once. Twice. Then died completely. Total silence filled the air. Too silent. Even the clock on the wall had stopped ticking. Daniel stood up slowly, flashlight in hand. His heart was racing. He walked toward the basement door again, unsure if he was making the right choice, but something inside him was pulling him back. Like a whisper in his mind, he opened the door and stepped down into the darkness. The air was colder than before, thick and heavy. As he reached the bottom step, he noticed something strange. The pod was open, and the alien was gone, his breath caught in his throat. He swung the flashlight left and right, scanning the room. Then he saw it, crouched behind the tool shelf. The alien was weak, trembling, its hand pressed against its chest. Daniel stepped closer slowly. The creature looked up at him, eyes glowing dimly. Its mouth moved, but no sound came. Then finally, it whispered in broken English, "They are coming." Daniel's skin turned cold. "Who's coming?" he asked, kneeling beside it. The alien pointed upward, toward the ceiling, not the room, but the sky above them. "Hide me," it said. Before collapsing again, unconscious, Daniel didn't have time to think. He grabbed an old blanket, wrapped the alien in it, and carried it upstairs. He placed it gently in the garage. Behind a wall of tires and boxes, the garage had no windows, and the signal never worked there. Maybe it was safe. By sunrise, the lights came back. The wind stopped, and everything looked normal again. But nothing felt normal, not the humming in his ears, not the strange cuts on his hands healing by themselves, not the fact that an alien being had warned him. Later that morning, someone knocked at the front door. 3 short knocks, slow and loud. He peeked through the window. 2 men stood outside, dressed in black suits with no badges. No names and no expressions. Daniel opened the door a crack. One of them smiled politely, but his eyes were sharp and cold. "Good morning, sir," the man said. "We're with Homeland Protection, just a routine check." "Homeland?" Daniel asked, hiding his panic. "We received energy signals from this area." The man continued, "Strange readings underground. May we take a look?" Daniel thought fast. "There was a fuse problem last night," he lied. "Might have messed with the power, nothing else." The agents exchanged a glance. "Mind if we step inside?" Daniel hesitated, then opened the door. They walked in slowly, scanning everything with strange wrist devices. One of the scanners beeped quietly when pointed toward the garage. The agent paused, then turned and smiled again. "Basement?" The second man asked. Daniel nodded and led them down, heart pounding like a drum. The basement was clean now. Pod covered under a tarp, hidden with shelves and paint cans. The agents looked around, took notes, then left without a word. But Daniel saw it, just as they stepped out. One of them dropped a small black disc under his car, a tracker. That night, the alien woke again. It looked stronger, eyes brighter, voice clearer. "You are the protector," it said softly. "The last hope." Daniel didn't understand. "What are you?" he asked. The alien raised its hand, showing a small glowing symbol burned into its palm. "Name." "Vara," it said, pointing to itself, then pointed to Daniel. "Earth, in danger. They destroy worlds." "I ran." Daniel tried to stay calm. "Why my basement?" he asked. Vara blinked slowly. "Old signal here, from long ago. Humans helped once, then forgot." He wanted to laugh or cry or scream, but instead, he asked the only thing that mattered. "What do we do now?" Vara touched the pod cord Daniel had kept in the basement. It lit up like a star, projecting a 3D map in the air. Planets, ships, battle zones. Earth glowed red, marked. Before Daniel could speak, they both heard it. A faint mechanical buzz. Outside the garage window, something flew past, black, fast and silent. Then another. Vara looked at Daniel with wide, alert eyes. "They found me," she said. They come for both of us now. Daniel woke up to silence, not peaceful silence, but the kind that makes your skin crawl, the kind that feels like the world is holding its breath. Outside, birds weren't singing, no cars passed by, even the wind had stopped. He walked into the garage, heart pounding in his ears. Vara sat on the floor, legs crossed, hands glowing faintly as she focused on the floating map in front of her. The map kept glitching, blinking red over one point, Daniel's house. They are watching, she said without looking up. We must move soon. Daniel checked the window. Across the street, a white van had been parked since early morning. He had noticed it before, but now he was sure. It hadn't moved an inch, and the windows were too dark to see inside. He grabbed his keys. I'll drive us out, he said. We'll disappear. Vara shook her head. They follow signal, not body, she explained. Your phone, your car, your home, all marked. Daniel's mouth went dry. Then what do we do? Before Vara could answer, the doorbell rang. 3 knocks. Just like yesterday, Daniel checked the peephole. The same men in black suits. Same cold expressions, only this time they weren't alone. A third figure stood behind them, taller, broader, and wrong. Its skin looked too perfect, almost plastic, and its eyes didn't blink, not once. Daniel didn't open the door. Instead, he quietly backed away. Vara was already hiding in the storage closet, body curled, eyes glowing low like a candle. Daniel heard a voice from the other side of the door. Mr. Reeves, it said calmly. We know what you found. His stomach turned. How? Who were they really? He said nothing, just stood still, holding his breath. The doorknob shook once, then stopped. The men stood outside for exactly 1 minute, then walked back to their van. Daniel ran to the garage window and watched them. The tall one turned around, looked directly at the camera above Daniel's door, and smiled, not a real smile. A copy of one later that night, Daniel heard something. A sound no human should ever hear, a low mechanical screech, like metal scraping against bone. The sound was coming from under the house, from the pipes, from the walls. He rushed downstairs to check on the pod. Vara followed him, now fully awake, her body glowing brighter than before. They are scanning, she whispered, using synthetic echoes to find the pod. Daniel noticed something glowing on the side of the pod. A small hole leaking light. He touched it, and a small beam projected a memory, a war, a battlefield filled with human soldiers fighting beside Vara's kind. They stood together against creatures made of armor and hate, but something had gone wrong. A betrayal, then. Silence. Vara placed her hand over the beam, and it shut off. You were with us before, she said softly. Your kind helped once. Daniel tried to speak, but no words came. Was it true? Had humans forgotten a war in the stars? He walked back upstairs and opened his laptop. He typed strange sightings. Secret wars, unexplained signals, most of it looked fake. Conspiracy nonsense. But one thread caught his eye. A declassified file from 1968. It mentioned foreign craft discovered under private land. Location: this very town. He looked at Vara. Why me? He asked. Why this house? She answered without hesitation. Pod was not just hidden, she said. It was protected by someone like you. Before Daniel could process her words, every light in the house turned red. An alarm he didn't install started blaring. From the hallway, Vara froze. They're inside the perimeter, she said. Run. Daniel grabbed the pod's core device, shoved it in his backpack, and opened the garage door. 3 black drones flew overhead, scanning everything with red beams. One of them locked onto him. A second later, it fired. The beam missed by inches, blasting a hole through the driveway. Daniel and Vara sprinted into the nearby woods. Branches slapped his face, roots grabbed his feet. But he didn't stop. Behind them, the drones kept coming. They didn't make it far before a loud hum filled the sky. A shape moved above the trees. Sleek, black, silent. Not a plane, not a helicopter, a ship. It hovered above them, completely invisible to the people in town. Only Daniel and Vara could see it, because of the bond, the same bond that had healed him, the same bond that had marked him. "They're here," Vara whispered, her voice shaking. "The hunters." Daniel couldn't feel his legs. His chest burned, his vision blurred, and his ears rang like sirens trapped in his skull. He stumbled through the woods, leaves crunching underfoot, the backpack heavy on his shoulders, behind him. The night sky pulsed red. The ship was still hunting. Vara held his arm, dragging him forward. Her strength didn't match her size. She looked small, fragile, but her grip was like steel. "Not far now," she said, breathless. "Old place. Hidden. Safe." They reached a small hill, covered in ivy and broken stones. Vara placed her hand on one of the rocks, and it lit up faintly. A hidden door opened in the earth, revealing a narrow tunnel that led deep underground. No noise, no light. Just cold stone and safety. Inside, Daniel collapsed, chest heaving. His skin was burning, and something under it was moving, crawling, changing. He pulled up his sleeve, and what he saw made him gasp. His veins were glowing, faint blue lines, running from his hand to his neck. "What's happening to me?" he asked, voice shaking. Vara knelt beside him, her face calm but serious. "You touched the pod," she said. "It marked you. Accepted you." "Accepted me for what?" Daniel asked. "For the bond," she replied. "For protection and power." Daniel closed his eyes as pain rolled through his body again. But along with the pain came something strange. Clarity. He could hear more, feel more. The sound of insects crawling behind the wall, the heartbeat of Vara beside him, the hum of the earth below. "You're changing," Vara said softly. "Your human code is being rewritten. Your blood, your mind, your core." He tried to speak but could only whisper. "I didn't ask for this." "No," she said, "but Earth did." Vara walked toward a console built into the wall. Old, dusty, but still alive. She placed the core from the pod into it, and the room lit up with golden light. Holograms floated in the air, showing maps, ancient symbols, and files locked in strange languages. Daniel stared at one image, a human figure standing beside an alien army. He had seen that face before, in old family photos. It was his grandfather. "No way," Daniel said under his breath. Vara nodded. "He was one of the first. Your line was chosen long ago." "My grandfather knew?" Daniel asked. "He helped us," she replied. "But the memory was erased from Earth. Hidden for safety." The room trembled slightly, and a red warning flashed across the screen. "They found us again," Vara said, her voice tense. "They track the bond now. Through you." Daniel tried to stand, but his knees gave out. Vara moved fast, placing her hand over his heart. A surge of light flowed into him, warm, steady, powerful. In that moment, something unlocked inside Daniel. Visions flooded his mind. He saw machines the size of cities, battles fought in space, children trained on moons, planets torn apart. But he also saw Earth, not just under attack, but standing strong. Humans fighting side by side with alien allies. Protector cells rising from deep within the ground, ready to awaken. When the light faded, Daniel stood tall, his eyes now glowing faintly like Vara's. He wasn't fully human anymore, but he wasn't alien either. He was something in between, a bridge between worlds. "They fear what you've become," Vara said. "That's why they want to kill you." Suddenly, a beam of heat sliced through the tunnel ceiling, missing them by inches. The hunters had arrived. One of the drones dropped through the hole. Scanning the room, Vara pulled Daniel behind a control pillar. "Time's up," she whispered. "We fight, or we fall." Daniel looked around, searching for something. Anything to use. On the wall, a panel blinked, a weapon rack hidden behind it. He reached for it without thinking. The handle of the alien weapon pulsed as it touched his hand. Sinking instantly, the gun changed shape, responding to his thoughts. Vara looked at him and gave a short nod. "You were meant for this." Daniel stepped out. aimed and fired. The beam hit the drone and turned it to dust. His hands shook. Not from fear, but from the energy inside him. More drones dropped in, and Daniel kept firing. Vara joined him, moving like lightning, her body glowing with pure power. Together, they pushed the hunters back for now, but they knew this was just the beginning. The real war hadn't started yet. As they sealed the tunnel behind them and ran toward the surface, Daniel looked at the night sky. He no longer felt fear, he felt ready. "Let them come," he said quietly. "Earth isn't theirs yet." The sky was no longer dark, it was glowing, not with stars, not with moonlight, but with something far more unnatural. Above the clouds, hidden from human eyes, hovered a massive shape. Daniel could see it clearly now. His eyes changed. By the bond, picked up what no human could, a hunter-class ship. Sharp like a blade, silent like a ghost. It didn't move, but it watched, waiting like a predator waiting for its prey to breathe. Vara stood beside him, quiet, her eyes fixed on the sky. "That is not a scout ship," she said. "That is a siege vessel." Daniel's heart sank. "What are they waiting for?" "For us," she replied, "or for Earth to surrender." They returned to the hidden chamber beneath the forest. The ancient base still hummed with energy. Despite being untouched for decades, Daniel activated the console again. A message was waiting, blinking in red. Not from Earth, not from Vara's people. It was from the hunters. The message began to play. A dark figure appeared, wrapped in shadow and metal. Its voice was deep, layered with static and hate. "Surrender the artifact, or your planet will be reset." Daniel clenched his fists. "Artifact? They mean you?" Vara shook her head. "No," she said slowly. "They mean the core, and what it can awaken." She turned to another panel and pressed her palm against it. The wall behind them slid open, revealing something buried in crystal. A second pod. But this one wasn't for sleep. It was a weapon, ancient and unfinished, still humming with life. "Before the war ended," Vara said, "we left keys on allied worlds in case we failed." "Keys to what?" Daniel asked. "To survival," she whispered. "To defense, weapons that only activate with the bond." Daniel took a step closer. The pod responded instantly, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. It had been waiting for him, maybe for years, maybe for generations. The console beeped again. Earth's defense satellites were being disabled, one by one. The sky was going dark. Not for people on the surface, but for those watching from above. "This is it," Daniel said. "They're preparing to strike." Vara nodded, her voice calm but firm. "They want to erase all memory, all resistance." Daniel turned to her. "We need to hit back." That night they moved quickly. With the second pod now active, they had access to an old escape craft hidden beneath the facility. Small, silent, invisible to Earth systems. And perfect for what came next, they flew toward the ship, not to attack it, but to enter it. Daniel's plan was clear. Break into the heart of the hunter vessel, steal the targeting core, and stop the countdown. The ship loomed above them like a mountain of steel and death. Daniel felt fear crawling into his throat, but he swallowed it. He had made his choice. He wasn't just protecting Vara anymore. He was protecting home. The escape craft docked quietly into a ventral port. Daniel and Vara stepped out into darkness. The halls were cold, lit by pulsing red lines. The air smelled like burnt metal and oil. Daniel's body reacted on its own, his sight sharper, his hands steadier. Every corner they passed, he saw traps. Before they activated, he wasn't guessing. The bond was guiding him. They reached the core chamber without triggering any alarms. Inside, a huge crystal hovered above a pit. Pulses of light ran through it, controlling targeting systems, weapons, and cloaking fields. Vara moved toward it. But something else moved faster. A figure stepped out from the shadows, tall, armored, inhuman, the same one from the video message. "You are not worthy," it said, voice like breaking stone. Daniel stepped forward, weapon in hand. "We'll see about that." The battle was brutal. Daniel wasn't trained, But the bond made him move like he had been fighting his whole life. He dodged plasma strikes, returned fire with precision, and used the ship's gravity to his advantage. Vara supported him, weaving through the shadows, her hands glowing with alien energy. The hunter leader was strong, but not fast, and speed was all they needed. With a final surge, Daniel struck the core's base with his weapon. It cracked, pulsed, and exploded in a flash of white light. Everything shook, systems failed, lights died, the ship began to fall. Vara grabbed Daniel, her hands pressed against his chest. "I can get us out," she said, "but not without cost." Daniel nodded. "Do it." The escape pod ejected moments before. The ship slammed into the ocean. A fireball lit up the horizon, seen only by those awake at that hour. To most, it looked like a meteor. To Daniel, it was a warning. The war had started. And the first shot had been his. Daniel had never seen Earth from above. Not like this. It didn't look like home anymore. It looked like a target from the small, stolen craft. The planet hung in space like a glowing orb. Blue, green, peaceful, and completely unaware. Above it floated something invisible to human eyes. A second hunter ship. Bigger, colder, crueler than the last. This one doesn't destroy cities, Vara whispered. It collects. Daniel narrowed his eyes. Collects what? Vara stared ahead, her face grim. Life. They approached the ship in silence. No alarms, no motion. It welcomed them like a spider welcomes flies. The moment they docked, a strange pressure wrapped around Daniel's chest. The air felt wrong, heavy like sorrow. Inside, everything was silent. No crew. No sound, just long halls of humming machines and blinking lights. Vara led the way, her fingers glowing as she touched the walls. "This ship is old," she said. "Older than your planet's history." As they moved deeper, Daniel noticed something strange. Windows, long and narrow, each one showing a chamber. And in each chamber, people, not dead, not alive. Suspended, frozen, trapped in strange fluid. "Are those humans?" Daniel whispered. "Yes," Vara said softly. "Some from now, some from long ago." Daniel's hands shook. "They've been taking us," Vara nodded. "They call it preservation," she said. "But it's slavery, memory, knowledge, bodies all stolen." Daniel stepped closer to one chamber. Inside was a man in a military uniform, American patch, 1950s style. His eyes were open, but lifeless. He'd been awake when they froze him. Daniel's stomach twisted. "This can't be the only ship." "It's not," Vara replied. "It's just the one Earth can't see." They kept walking, and the halls began to change. The walls turned organic, pulsing softly like veins. Vara touched one and pulled her hand back in shock. "This ship is alive," she said. "Part machine, part creature." Daniel took a deep breath. "Then let's give it a headache." They reached the control core, a beating heart of glowing crystal and twisted wires. In the center was the command node. It pulsed with energy, feeding the ships. Memory systems, cloaking tech, and prisoner network. Daniel pulled the core drive from his pack, the one he saved from Vara's pod. "This is the virus you gave me," he said. "Yes," Vara replied. "But it only works with your touch." Daniel placed his hand on the node. The moment his skin touched it, pain shot through his body. He dropped to his knees as the ship screamed. Not with alarms, but with feelings. It was alive, and now it was afraid. Daniel saw flashes, memory after memory flooding his brain. Planets consumed, civilizations erased, protector pods stolen, and Earth marked again and again. But something else appeared too, a hidden signal buried deep inside. The ship? A human voice. Code 917, Guardian Project, active. Daniel gasped. Vara turned sharply. "You heard it too?" He nodded slowly. "There's someone else in here." They ran to the locked chamber under the core. It took both their hands to open it. Inside, suspended in a tank, was a human, not frozen like the others, alive, eyes closed, armor glowing. Faintly, "He's like me," Daniel whispered. Vara stared in shock. He's older than you, she said. Much older. Suddenly, red lights filled the chamber. The ship had found them. Not just systems, but guardians. A figure dropped. From the ceiling, it wasn't a hunter. It was something worse. A reclaimer. Built to erase memories and silence threats. Daniel stepped forward, weapon forming in his hands. You're not taking anyone else. The reclaimer didn't speak. It attacked, fast, brutal, sharp-like. Lightning. Daniel fought harder than ever. Every move felt guided by something ancient. He wasn't just fighting with skill. He was fighting with history. Vara joined the battle, striking with energy blasts. The reclaimer faltered, then collapsed. But Daniel was bleeding. His hand had been sliced open, but instead of blood, glowing mist leaked out. Vara knelt beside him, panic in her voice. You're breaking. Daniel grabbed her wrist. I'm finishing this, he walked back to the control core. One command left to give. He placed the virus deep inside the system. The ship began to shake. Doors slammed shut. Alarms screamed. Lights exploded. Daniel ran to the tank, opened it, and carried the Guardian out. Vara shouted. Over the chaos. The ship is crashing into the upper atmosphere. Daniel didn't stop moving. If we don't make it. Promise me something. Vara looked at him. Tell Earth the truth. She didn't answer with words. She pressed her hand to his heart. The light burst from her palm, surrounding them both. In a blink, they vanished. Behind them, the hunter. Ship burned like a second sun, and for the first time in centuries, it fell silent. Daniel woke up gasping. His lungs burned. His skin was covered in ash. But he was alive. Above him, the sky shimmered with heat. The clouds torn open by what had just fallen. Beside him, Vara lay still, her body dimmer than before. And between them, the man they had saved, the Guardian. He was older, taller, wrapped in armor that hummed like it remembered battles before Earth was born. His eyes opened slowly, silver like Daniel's. You're the last protector, he said, voice cracked like broken glass. Daniel sat up, heart pounding. Not anymore, he replied. You're awake now. The three of them stood on the edge of a ruined forest. Behind them, smoke rose from the sea, where the second hunter ship had burned into the waves. But something was wrong. The sky pulsed again, not with fire, but with rhythm, like a heartbeat too loud to ignore. They're not done, Vara whispered. The Guardian turned his head slowly. That wasn't the mothership, he said. It was a gate. Daniel's eyes widened. A gate to what? The Guardian looked up. To their army. High above Earth. Something opened. Not a ship, not a weapon, but a tear in space itself. Like reality had been peeled back by invisible hands. Through it came light, ships, creatures. Thousands. Of them, Earth was no longer a target. It was a battlefield, back at the hidden facility. Old systems came alive again. One of the vaults opened. The one Daniel had never seen. Inside were more pods, just like Vara's, dozens, maybe hundreds. They began to blink, one by one, waking up. Vara placed her hand on the console. It's begun, she said. The awakening. The what? Daniel asked. Long ago, Earth agreed to keep our defenders asleep here, she explained. Until the final signal. Daniel stared at the map on the screen. All over the world. Similar pods were lighting up, buried under deserts, oceans, forests, even cities. Earth had forgotten, but the pact had remained. He looked at Vara and the Guardian. We can't win alone. We won't, she said. But we won't hide either. They stepped outside. Ships were already landing, cloaked to the human eye. But Daniel could see them, and more importantly, he could feel them, because now he was fully bonded. The Guardian handed him a small orb, glowing blue and white. Final command key, he said. Use it if Earth falls. Daniel held it tightly. I won't let that happen. The first hunter troop hit the ground like a hammer. Massive, armored, and soulless. But Daniel didn't flinch. He stepped forward. Energy rising from his skin like light from a storm. The protector inside him was no longer sleeping. The battle began. All across the world, ancient warriors woke from their pods and joined the fight. Vara moved like wind, her hands slicing through steel. The Guardian summoned a shield of pure energy, blocking attacks like time itself had paused. And Daniel, he became something else. Faster, stronger, brighter. His voice echoed with command. And the earth answered. Cities lit up with shield walls. Hidden systems buried deep in human soil began to rise. The old pact wasn't dead. It had simply been waiting for someone to wake it. The hunters fought back. Ships fell from the sky. Drones tore through buildings. Weapons scorched the ground. But for the first time, Earth wasn't running. It was standing. Daniel reached the center of the invasion site. A giant obelisk pulsed. There, the anchor holding the gate open, he placed the orb into its core. The light turned from red to white. The gate trembled, then began to collapse. The sky screamed. The remaining ships tried to escape, but the rip in space closed on them. Like a jaw, one by one, they vanished. The silence that followed felt like victory, but not peace. Daniel dropped to his knees, exhausted. His body flickered with fading energy. Vara knelt beside him, touching his chest gently. "You're not just a protector now," she said. "You're the beacon." He didn't understand at first, but then he heard it. A voice from inside the earth. Old, human, and alien at the same time. "New cycle begins," it said. "Beacon online." Daniel stood slowly. The war wasn't over. But Earth had changed, and so had he. Weeks later, Daniel returned to his home. The basement was quiet again. The wall repaired, the dust settled. But in the corner, something blinked. A new pod. Untouched, unopened. As he stepped closer, a voice whispered in the air. "Protector selected." Daniel smiled. "No," he said quietly. "Protector ready."